This morning, that grim milestone in flood-stricken central Texas as search and rescue efforts enter their 5th day here, the death toll now topping 100. And that number is expected to rise. This morning, new video showing how that fatal 4th of July flood swallowed everything in its path. This home in Center Point, Texas, lifted off its foundation.
There's a cat in there.
Smashing into a tree. And in this video, a chain of people pulling a rope to save this woman from the churning river. Stuart Gross, who works for the city of Ingram, is still haunted by the cries of his neighbors.
To me, it's a graveyard. It's sacred ground. And there's people that are probably still right there and that may never come back. They're under gravel, they're under trees. You know, and it's real hard not to feel bad because I know some of these people.
The Guadalupe River shattering a near century-old record, cresting at over 37 feet. The water has receded, revealing the wreckage.
In this debris field alone, there are dozens of workers. There are multiple machines, there are excavators, there are debris piles like this extending for dozens of miles.
It's a river famed for the camps on its banks like Camp Mystic. This morning, 10 campers and 1 counselor still missing. Among them, Kellyanne Lytle.
What do all the reindeer do?
Her family sharing this video of her singing at a recent Christmas pageant. And we're learning more about those victims killed, including 8-year-old twins Hannah and Rebecca Lawrence. Their 14-year-old sister surviving, their grandfather saying they gave joy that can never be forgotten.
First, from Camp Mystic. My information is those who are missing is down to now 5 campers and 1 counselor. 5 campers and 1 counselor missing. In addition to that, there is another child not associated with the camp who is missing. So for Kerr County, that would be a total of 7 who are missing. In other parts of the state, there are 12 who are missing. I have a new number, however. So one thing we've been reaching out to the public about is to get better information about those who were not registered at a camp, those who were not registered at a hotel, those who may have been down here who no one really had any accounting of. And through law enforcement agencies working together, they provided me this number. Just in the Kerr County area alone, there are 161 people who are known to be missing. And again, that comes from combined law enforcement efforts, 161 known people who are missing. Know this, we will not stop until every missing person is accounted for.
Texas is grieving right now. The pain, the shock of what has transpired these last few days has broken the heart of our state. As of yesterday, the confirmed death toll was 82, and those numbers are continuing to go up. The children, the little girls who were lost at Camp Mystic, that's every parent's nightmare. But I want to say, in the face of all of this, it is simultaneously inspiring. Every time there's a tragedy, every time there's a natural disaster in Texas, Texans come together. Texas is a big state. We've got 31 million people, and we have hurricanes, wildfires. Tragedies hit this state, natural disasters hit this state, and without fail, 100 out of 100 times when that happens, we see Texans coming together, helping each other, engaging in acts of heroism. There have been over 850 high water rescues since this flooding began. 850. So I want to say we will come through this. To those in the midst of grief right now, that might seem hard to fathom. But Texas will come through this. And I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to these gentlemen here who are working. They are not sleeping. They are working every day. Thank you to the families. Thank you to the South.
Do you think these cuts to the federal workforce, you could see there being a direct line to this tragedy?
I've talked with any number of my friends in the Weather Service, colleagues in the commercial weather community, and to a person, one of the first questions they asked was, where was the WCM, the Warning Coordination Meteorologist? I am convinced that the staff cuts that we saw were a contributing factor to the inability of the emergency managers to respond. The staffing was just fine, and the White House has concurred with this, to get the forecast out, to get the watches and warnings issued. But when you send a message, there's no guarantee it's being received. So someone needs to follow up, and that's the Warning Coordination Meteorologist, a position that was vacant.
And these offices were well staffed. In fact, one of the offices was actually overstaffed. They had more people than they need. Unfortunately, in the wake of this once-in-a-generation natural disaster, we have seen many falsehoods pushed by Democrats such as Senator Chuck Schumer and some members of the media. Blaming President Trump for these floods is a depraved lie, and it serves no purpose during this time of national mourning. Here are the facts. In the lead up to this tragic natural disaster, the National Weather Service did its job. Despite unprecedented rainfall, the National Weather Service executed timely and precise forecasts and warnings. On July 3rd, the National Weather Service office in Austin, San Antonio, Texas, conducted forecast briefings for emergency management in the morning and issued a flood watch in the early afternoon. Flash flood warnings were also issued on the night of July 3rd and in the early morning of July 4th, giving preliminary lead times of more than 3 hours before flash flooding conditions occurred. And the National Weather Service office in New Braunfels, which delivers forecasts for Austin, San Antonio, and the surrounding areas, had extra staff on duty during the storms, despite claims of the contrary. So to any person who has deliberately lied about these facts surrounding this catastrophic event, you should be deeply ashamed. At this time, the administration's focus will be giving the victims and their communities the support they deserve during these recovery efforts in this tragic time. May God bless the great people of Texas, especially the parents who have lost their children. President Trump loves you. We are praying for you, and he will be traveling to see you later this week.
The National Weather Service, the union, actually publicly stated they had an adequate staff on hand to forecast and predict the storm. You shared your thoughts earlier on how the way the left has really weaponized this to blame the deaths in Texas on Trump. Want to comment on that again?
Yeah, I just do think those comments are depraved and despicable, especially when so many Americans are mourning the loss of their children. The National Weather Service, as I said, did its job. Many experts, many meteorologists have said that. Many of you in the media, in all fairness, have said that as well. Unfortunately, not all. And many Democrat elected officials are trying to turn this into a political game, and it is not. This is a national tragedy, and the administration is treating it as such. We know the National Weather Service provided early and consistent warnings. They gave out timely flash flood alerts. There were record-breaking lead times in the lead up to this catastrophe. There is ongoing flood monitoring, and these offices were well staffed. In fact, one of the offices was actually overstaffed. They had more people than they need. So any claim to the contrary is completely false, and it's just sad that people are pushing these lies.
Donald Trump is responsible. There's literally no other way to put this. The National Weather Service's San Angelo office, which is responsible for some of the areas that was hit by Friday's floods, was missing a senior hydrologist, staff forecaster, and meteorologist in charge. This one's important. The San Antonio office was missing a warning coordination meteorologist. Job responsibilities. The person that does this job, their job is to literally coordinate with the local community on the best courses of action given the meteorology report to save lives. So where was this very important person? They took early retirement because they thought they were going to get fired. Remember when the Trump administration was buying people out, threatening their jobs, sending fork in the road emails? This is that. Of course, because we have the president that we have, they're never going to take responsibility. They can't take responsibility because it goes against the Trump brand. God help us. This is going to keep happening a lot.
It's Trump's fault and it's Doge's fault that the flood happened and those people died. They didn't have any notifications or warnings. You guys know I just moved back from Texas. I just moved from that exact area. And guess what? I even checked before I made this video. I got the alerts. on those days, and I just went and checked my email to make sure before I made the videos. Notifications were sent out like all night long, flooding. It's coming. You guys sit there, you want to fucking, oh, it's Trump's fault and Doge's fault, man. Shut the fuck up, man. It ain't his fault, man, that this shit happened with the floods. Because I got the notifications, I got the emails, and I'm not even in Texas, you know. So I'm still subscribed to the weather alerts out there in that area. Could it be maybe, I don't know, people would have been better off or had a better chance of survival if those towns, those areas would have had fucking the horns or the alarms? Guess what? They don't have any in that area. So, you know, these emails and texts or whatever are coming in the middle of the night while people are sleeping. Of course, a lot of people aren't going to hear that shit. But, you know, like around here, you know, in other places, when there's a tornado coming or flood, they have that horn. Right? They don't have that over there. If they would have had those systems in place, people would have known that something was coming just by hearing that sound. Again, they probably would have had a better chance. But you guys are talking about, oh, it's Doge's fault and Trump's fault for the cuts, man. Shut the fuck up, man. You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, man. I got the alerts. They sent a bunch of alerts saying the flood is coming, the flood is coming, the flood is coming. Bro, like seriously, stop talking out of your ass. You guys are just constantly trying to find something to fucking blame on Trump. And really, man, you're just fucking stupid, man. You know, the notifications were sent, and there were no alarm systems in place to wake those people up. And that's the real deal.
Donald Trump just gave a disastrous press conference on the tarmac in New Jersey as he was flying back to Washington, D.C. He spent the weekend golfing at Bedminster. A reporter asked Donald Trump if he was still planning to phase out FEMA in light of the catastrophe that has taken place in Kerr County, Texas. Donald Trump refuses to rule out eliminating FEMA. Here, watch this.
Are you still planning to phase out FEMA?
Well, FEMA is something we can talk about later. But right now they're busy working, so we'll leave it at that. Go ahead.
So even after all we know, with at least 78 dead and many people still missing, he's talking about eliminating FEMA. Here, Donald Trump also says that he does not think that the federal government needs to hire back the meteorologists in Texas and elsewhere who work at the National Weather Service who do the forecasting. Here, play this clip.
In light of the floods, do you think that the federal government needs to hire back any of the meteorologists who were fired in the last few months?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. I would think not. This was the thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw it. Very talented people are there, and they didn't see it. It's, I guess they said, once in 100 years. They've never seen anything like this. So I wouldn't, I mean, people are trying to blame the school. They're trying to blame the camp. They're trying to blame. It's just a horrible thing. But no, I wouldn't say that, no.
Then Donald Trump is asked, so are you investigating whether the cuts that you and Doge made to the federal government left key vacancies at the National Weather Service open and degraded the forecasting? And Trump's like, no, I'm really not. And then he says, or tries to blame it on Biden, but then he says, don't blame it on Biden. Watch this word salad that he gives as an answer. Play this clip.
Are you investigating whether some of the cuts to the federal government left key vacancies at the National Weather Service or in the emergency coordination?
No, they did not. They did. I'll tell you, if you look at that water situation that all is, and that was really the Biden setup. That was not our setup, but I wouldn't blame Biden for it either. I would just say this is a 100-year catastrophe, and it's just so horrible to watch.
Next, a reporter asked Donald Trump, so what do you say to people like Democrats who are blaming you for the federal cuts that you made in Texas? Trump refuses to even answer and engage with the question. Here, play this clip.
Democrats are blaming our federal cuts for the deaths over in Texas.
I think that's a question that you should have to answer.
It's just crazy out here. I'm back with an update to the Texas flood. And it's just a tragedy because more lives have been lost. And that's not even a half of it. They still discovering things as we speak. remember what I told y'all. Things are happening so fast. Not by the minute, by the second. And then Americans are fed up because they blaming Trump for this. They basically saying that if he didn't do all these cuts with the doge, it would have been employees there to let the citizens know to evacuate in time, because some notifications didn't go out till 4:30 in the morning. And it's just tragic after tragic, because I don't know what's going on, but this world is changing and we in for a rude awakening. And Trump actually saying that they didn't have nothing to do with it, they can't control that. So in reality, I want to know what y'all feel like what should have been done to stop this madness in the type of manner that it's supposed to have been handled. Let me know how y'all feel about that. Drop it in the comments, and I'm going to see y'all on the next one.